All right, welcome back to Wholesome Financials. My name is Austin,
Susie,
and we are Wholesome Financials. You can find us on all social media, and we primarily talk about business funding and building relationships with major banks. Also, just credit, how to leverage credit personally and in your business. It's our mission and our goal to help purpose-driven entrepreneurs scale and grow their business using the power of personal credit to start, and then eventually business credit as well. Something that we teach, part of Wholesome Academy. And so excited to be here. How are you doing, babe?
I'm doing great. Feeling better. Ready to give out some good, valuable information. And let's get it going.
Yeah. So if you've been following along and listening to this podcast, really appreciate it. Last podcast, we talked all about NAICS codes. We talked about some of the high NAICS codes, the low risk, what to do depending on the industry you're in. This episode, you saw it from the thumbnail, you saw it from the title. We're talking all about business email addresses. You wouldn't think we need a whole episode about email addresses, but we do. We do. And so anyway, let's how about you kick us off regarding just this topic? What do business owners need to know?
Yeah, so I think it's something really small, but obviously makes a really, really big difference. And so to start off, you want to look as presentable, as credible, as trustworthy to the banks whenever you're opening up the bank account or you're asking for money from the bank, right? So that's the whole premise behind why we need a business email, because we need to look good. On paper, we need to look presentable. It's like, having a white shirt maybe and having a stain of ketchup on it. Now, you don't look as presentable, right?
Yeah.
So having a business email can literally make or break your funding strategy. Yes, something as simple as an email. So that's why we decided to make a whole episode on it, just to kind of go deep into it and describe why we need it and where to get this email address.
Yeah, 100%. It goes the same with if you watched our business address episode, we talked about the same thing, right? Like you're trying to decide if Mr. Chase is trying to figure out who do I give 200,000 to? Do I give 200,000 to the person that has, if I'm going to give it to somebody that I'm thinking is going to pay me all my money back, who looks more credible? Somebody that has a business address that's from their home, or someone who has a business address from their office. These little things matter. Same with your email. I'm shooting an email to your AOL name, like your AIM name. Brother, I'm not giving you 200,000. Like Hype Boy, Little Smokey 45. Nah. Nah. You're not getting 100,000 out of me. And so you're a liability. Like, what kind of business are you running? So 100%.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's game changing. So what does a good email look like?
Yeah.
We'll put one on the screen right here. We'll put this one on the screen right here.
Yeah. So a good professional email should start with anything like info@wholesomefinancials.com, like we've shown it here on the screen. That's our personal business email, right? It's professional. We know that it's a business because it doesn't have @gmail.com, right? @gmail automatically tells me that it's free, that you're probably not taking your business serious, because if you were, why aren't you doing the steps to be legitimate so that your customers can find you and email you legitimately, right? So another way you could structure your business email is something like support@wholesomefinancials.com. So obviously for your LLC, it could be something like info@insert your, business name.com. That's what a professional email looks like. And yes, it does cost. So you do have to invest in it. So that's kind of like what we're going to talk next.
Yeah. And with that said, and so just in case you're trying to figure it out, like you need to have your businessname.com. You need to own the URL, own the domain. That's also what your email shows. It shows that I own everything that I'm referring to that I am, because it also makes you look more credible, because it's the bank's first time meeting you. They don't know if you're telling the truth or not. I mean, they're checking on your paperwork for that. Yep. But having a good email also sends that helps ease their mind and let them know, like, okay, this person's legitimate. Like they are who they say they are, right? Mm-hmm. We could say we're Wholesome Financials and then it's go, our email is austinsusie@gmail.com. They'd be like, well, if they're Wholesome Financials, why
Why don't they have
Well,
a
who is?
professional email?
Yeah, if it's wholesome, if they have wholesome.com, they own wholesomefinancials.com, then okay, then they are who they say they are. So anyway, with that said, purchasing email, you can get it from a bunch of different places. GoDaddy is probably the easiest, where you can purchase your email from there. .net.com. We just, like I mentioned, we always recommend just doing business.com. Some people do .us, .biz, .net. But you first have to get the domain, which is basically like a website, right?
Yeah, so pretty much a domain is that section of the internet that you own, right? So it's wholesomefinancials.com, or whatever it is that you do for your business, right? You'd have a specific website. So when our clients go to our domain, they can see all that we have to offer, right? And so you first have to purchase a domain, and most of the times that domain will give you a free email account, right? A free business email account, right? So you cannot just buy a business email. You have to purchase a domain for the business. Whether or not you use a website or, pay someone to structure your website, that's okay. That's fine. You don't have to, but you have to get that so that you can access the email portion of it. A lot of times it's free if you buy the domain, or sometimes you have to pay for the email separately after you've purchased the domain. I know if you go to GoDaddy, they have them both in a package. So that's something that you might want to look into.
Yeah, 100%. We also have domains available for sale that come with a free email. So if you need help setting up this process for yourself, click the link below and get in contact with us. It's actually part of one of our LLC packages that we put together for our clients, for people who are trying to form their business. So feel free to reach out to us if that's something that you're like, you know what, I heard everything Susie said, but that went over my head. We can just do that for you. That can be a done for you service. So, but this is good for you to know, because I do believe this is something that you can figure out for yourself. As long as you're willing to put in just a little bit of financial investment and take a little bit of time and learn as much as you can. So, with that said, what else? Any last thoughts regarding this? It's kind of like along the same lines of investing in your business.
Yeah, I think, go ahead and invest. Spend the $40 to get the domain and the email, because that $40 can unlock 100+ of business funding at 0%. Okay. Yeah. If you take this shortcut, which we've seen many a times with our clients, sometimes they've come to us because they're exhausted in trying to get funding. They've only gotten 10K, and we look at how their business was structured, and a lot of times, they have a free little Gmail account. We can't do that and expect to get 100, 200K, right? Yep. If you walk into Walmart and you ask them for their email, you're not going to get a random free Gmail account. You're going to get a legitimate business email. Yep. And to the banks, that is very trustworthy, right? You're gaining points with them, right? The more points you gain with them, the more trust you gain with them, the more they're willing to lend out their money. 100%. So I think that's it, unless you want to add something else. Or
I think just an extra thought that you brought up is, take a look at your competitors, right? Like, business is sport, and you're trying to play to win. You're trying to make as much money as possible, and you're trying to build your brand as big as possible. If your competitors have professional email addresses and business addresses and things of that nature, then if I were you, I would adopt it. If they don't have it, congratulations, you have a competitive advantage. You have a way to look even better than them. But I think that's just something that's just overlooked. There's something that's overlooked. Some people think that a lot of these little things don't matter, but it does. They all add up. And all these conversations that we have, if you've been listening to this podcast, it's from the mindset of the banks. How do banks view small businesses, especially within the form of alternative funding that we're referring to? Whether you're going for a small business loan, that counts as well. But the alternative funding model that we're referring to, credit stacking, leveraging business credit cards and 0% interest for 0% funding, 12 to 18 months. Within these methods of funding, these little things add up, and we don't know how long that the banks are going to allow this type of funding to be available to entrepreneurs and small business owners. So it makes so much sense to dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure you're ready to go in there prepared, go in there with everything lined up and lined out so that you can secure this funding before they close the doors and build and grow your business and get it launched and cash flowing, so that then you can move to the business credit side. And then that is a whole nother ball game in and of itself. And so, no, that's all for me. And we appreciate you guys sticking through this episode. If there's anything confusing, please leave a comment at the bottom of the video. It helps us a ton learn how to improve and what we need to address as we're continuing to try to figure out how we provide value to this community. As well as if you have a question that wasn't answered in this video, leave it in the comments. We're really good at getting back at comments. We're really good at getting back to DMs. If you want to connect with us, you can also connect with us on all of our major platforms. The ones that we hang out the most: TikTok, YouTube is the one you're probably watching this, Spotify if you're probably listening to this.